Afternoon, peeps. Good afternoon, everyone. How we all doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. What was I going to say? Yes, tomorrow we are live. Don't forget, 7:30 we get underway. It will probably be the last video of the year before we have a little break and then come back for the new year. So yeah, please join us. We're going to talk about everything that's happened this year in boxing. As I said yesterday, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we get underway at 7:30. No excuses. There's no more World Cup. There's nothing to watch. To make sure you tune in tomorrow at 7:30. All right, let's have a quick look and see if there are any stories to quickly talk about before we give you my top 5 dream fights of 2023. What's this one? Usyk not bothered by Fury's insults. I understand everything he says. I just don't pay any attention. Yeah, I don't think Fury's going to win the mind games with Usyk. You know, I always feel like Fury gets under people's skin, whether or not he just plays pally with them, or whether or not he just really gets under your skin like he did Deontay Wilder in probably the first 2 fights. It was so bad for Deontay Wilder. Remember, he kind of put the earphones on the third time round and said, I'm not even going to listen. So I don't think that's going to work with Alexander Usyk. Erickson Lubin vows to KO Sebastian Fundora if given a rematch. I don't know, man. I mean, look, he had his spots in that fight, but Lubin's face after, I just don't think you recover from that. I mean, look, Lubin can go on, and hopefully he does go on and have a good career, but that kind of beating he took, his face, it was awful. It was honestly awful to see, so I'm not quite sure. Maya, when they announced second score for Baumgardner, I knew they were going to rob me. It wasn't a robbery. Stop. Someone needs to just tell her. This is when I feel like you need people around you just to be honest with you. It wasn't a robbery. It was a close fight. If it had gone either way, I would have said, like, okay, fair. It was very, very close. I guess the issue for Maya is that Baumgardner doesn't want the rematch now because she wants to go Choi undisputed. You can't blame her. She wants to go Choi undisputed. And then I think Baumgardner is going to disappear from that division and maybe chase, I don't know, maybe Katie Taylor or someone like that. But it certainly wasn't a robbery. Usyk promoter on Fury fight. We're in negotiations with 3 countries in the Middle East. I think it's fair to say then the fight is going to the Middle East. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. It's a shame. Again, I said this, I think a couple of weeks ago, that the only benefit for UK fight fans about the fight going to the Middle East is that the fight is really late in the Middle East, but it's actually perfect time over here. So it's something ridiculous like, remember, AJ Usyk was like a 1 a.m. ring walk, but then I think it was like 10 o'clock over here, so it's not too bad. Remember, we're used to stand up to 5 a.m. to watch those big American fights, so that's the only benefit, I guess. 2 secs. Broner Red Catch BLK Prime pay-per-view event now scheduled for February 25th in Atlanta. That's going to flop. I don't know what kind of numbers they're expecting. I don't know what they're paying Broner, but they're not getting that money back. I saw Broner actually say something the other day about him being an all-time great. That's not the case. I mean, look, Broner had a decent run, but certainly not no all-time great. Joshua, me and Wilder are in the same era. The fight has to happen. Yeah, it might be one of my fights of 2023. Who knows? Who knows? This was crazy, this story. Don't know if you guys saw this. Vivian Obernuth sentenced to 16 years following October 2020 murder in Switzerland. She hit her husband with a baseball bat numerous times and killed him with a baseball bat, I think the story was. Now, you might remember the name, Vivian Obernuth. She actually beat Tasha Jonas. Don't know if you guys remember that. I think she stopped Tasha Jonas. At one time, she was a very, very good fighter. And obviously, look, she's in jail now for 16 years. I feel like there's more to the story. Like, to beat someone to death with a baseball bat, how that's not life, I don't understand. But look, I don't know about it. So we'll see. All right, let's, quick word, by the way, Steve Smoger passed away. One of the referees that me growing up watching boxing, I just remember his face all the time in those big fights. He passed away at the age of 79, so condolences to everyone that knew Steve Smoger, one of the best referees. One of those referees that you didn't notice in the ring. I always say that the best referees are the ones you don't notice, the ones that don't want to be in every little fucking area they can be in. Just take a step back and watch the fight unfold. Very, very good referee. All right, let's do this. My fights, my dream 5 fights. of 2023. I've got them written down just because I'm very likely to change my mind if this video rolls on. But I got my 5 fights. I'm going to quickly mention a couple of fights that are not on this list that maybe a couple of months ago would have definitely been on my list. One of them is Bam versus Chocolatito. I was desperate to see that just because Bam has sort of beaten up the elder statesman in the super fly division. And like, I thought if Chocolatito got through Estrada, I know Bam was talking about going back down, but I thought that would have been a great fight. You've got the old master in Chocolatito, first ballot Hall of Fame for me against this young upcoming kid that's just a special fighter, a really special fighter. And he might be fighter of the year when it's all said and done. That ain't going to happen now. Chocolatito's done. And I didn't have the same want for Bam versus Estrada for some reason. Like, really, I should be saying Estrada versus Bam, but this doesn't have that magic sort of dust, does it? It doesn't have the same sort of ring to it. So that's one. Another one that it could be on the list, but for some reason, it's just slowly but surely disappearing from my want. And that's Boatsy Yard. Like Boatsy Yard, I've always said, look, for me, there's nothing better over here, anyway, for UK fight fans than a domestic dust-up. It's always good when our guys go abroad or we get a big fighter over here, but there's something about a domestic dust-up that is special. And I feel like we're not going to see this one. We might, who knows? I mean, it can happen still, right? It's a big money fight. It can happen. For me, it certainly does a big arena. It's just, I don't know, like, you know, even when you think of someone like Carl Froch, Carl Froch has had so many good wins. When you think about the come from behind against Jermaine Taylor, away against Arthur Abraham, Mikhail Kessler win, like some solid wins. Early in his career, Jean Pascal, but Carl Froch will always be connected forever with George Groves. Like, it's forever. Domestic dust-ups, you can't beat them. Eubank Ben, domestic dust-ups, you can't beat them. And I feel like that's one that we might not see. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like we won't see it. All right, this is in no order. This is just my 5 dream fights of 2023. I'm going to get this off straight away. We don't need to make this a long video. Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney. Take my money now. Take my money right now. That's a fight that, and you know what the funny thing is with that fight, that isn't a fight that is difficult to make. Both of them with the same promoter. I think both of them would want the smoke. I say it's not difficult to make. Both of them would want to get paid. Is it a fight that needs to marinate a bit more? I don't think so. I mean, Devin Haney's got Loma next. And look, as much as I'm a Loma fan, Loma's older, Devin's better, Devin's bigger, Devin's stronger, Devin's a good boxer. I think Loma's going to have problems with Devin. So I think Devin's going to get past Loma when they fight April, May. Shakur Stevenson's begging for an opponent. Why can they not do Shakur versus Devin, I don't know, September, October? Why can't they? The only stumbling block is Devin's talking about struggling with weight, and he does look really, really bad on the scales. So that could be a problem, but that's one of my dream fights to make in 2023. And when I say dream fights, understand what I'm saying. I'm saying fights that give you that feeling. You know what I'm talking about. If you're a big boxing fan, you know that feeling when the referee calls him to the center of the ring and you're like, oh my God, here we go. Here we go. And there weren't many fights like that in 2022 for me. Like, fights turned into good fights, but there weren't many at the, like, when that referee does that and you know they go back to the corner and you're like, oh, like, I'm trying to think of fights in the past sort of 5 or 6 years that have done that for me. Like Kovalev Ward, first one, done that for me. Even the second one, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be special. Like that. GGG Canelo 1, GGG Canelo 2. Like, you know, fights like that. I think Taylor Serrano, yeah, I got that feeling. I didn't get that feeling for AJ Usyk. I kind of, well, I did, but it was more fear, obviously, because I'm a big AJ fan. But yeah, it's those type of fights. All right, fight number 2. This one, take everything I've got. I will remortgage my house. AJ Wilder. Again, this is in no particular order. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. I mean, we are literally going, that's one of those edge of the seat fights where you are literally, as soon as the bell rings, you're like, this is going to be carnage. Like, you'll be like that. It's just, it has to happen. Has to happen. And if it does, I think financially it's the biggest fight that can be made in 2023. I really do. I think it'll be promoted so well. You know, my dream of it going to Africa, I know that probably isn't going to happen, but that one is... That's the one fight. If any other fights on the TV screen, and think of any fight that can be made, name them. If AJ Wilder's on, I'm watching AJ Wilder. Like, you've got all the fights on the screens, and they're like, you can only watch one, AJ Wilder. That's my number one fight of 2023. We know it doesn't go the distance, and we know someone's getting knocked out. But we also know it could be a madness. It honestly could be, Hagler Hearns 3 rounds. It could be a complete blowout. It could be 1 minute. It honestly, it has everything, and that's what I'm talking about, that feeling in your stomach. This one also gives me that. Bivol Beterbiev, I'm sorry, undisputed, number 1 versus number 2, genuine 50-50 fight. I don't know, like, if someone wants to come up to me and convince me Beterbiev will win, I'm like, yeah, you're right. If someone wants to come up to me and say, oh, Bivol's going to win because of this, I'll say, yeah, you're right. This is a fight for, like, obviously it's undisputed. Literally all the marbles are on the table. Boxer versus puncher. Oh, God, that is such a great fight. And I think it's a fight that can happen. I mean, we know Bivol continually says it. Obviously, look, money talks, right? But he continually says he's not chasing the money. He's not chasing the Canelo fight. He wants to become undisputed. In order for him to do that, there's this fucking tough motherfucker in his way called Beterbiev. That there is something special. Number 4, I haven't given up hope yet. I haven't. I still have hope that it can happen in 2023, and that's Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. I just can't give up yet. I gave up on Pacquiao Floyd. And yes, it happened 5 years too late, but I gave up on it. It happened. I still harbour hope. And the other thing is about Pacquiao Floyd is that Pacquiao lost a couple of times. Remember, he got slept by Marquez and it kind of dipped a little bit. But then he had a couple of good wins and it kind of rose. These guys are still unbeaten. These guys are still number 1 and 2. I'm not going to argue with whatever order you have them in. These guys are still both pound for pound, top 6, both of them. So it's still there. Like, as much as I keep saying, oh, if it doesn't happen this year, they're still there. No one slipped. No one slipped. No one's like they lost. No one's been smashed up. Like, they're still right there. And it's still an undisputed. Yeah, it's crazy, actually. Looking at the list, Shakur Devon, undisputed. Terence Errol, undisputed. Bivol Beterbiev, undisputed. So it's not like I'm just picking dream fight. I'm picking fights that really are just special fights. And AJ Wilder, that's a special fight. Come on, that's a special fight. All right, my final one, I wanted to put a female fight in here. There's others that I could have chucked in there, by the way, like Fulton and Inoue. Like, there's others that I could, but I want to pick a female fight just because I think this year was the year where the females just went like that. Like, honestly, they went like that. Like Shields Marshall, Maya Baumgardner, Taylor Serrano. And immediately when I was writing this list down, I was thinking, oh, I really want to see Taylor Serrano. I mean, yeah. But then I was thinking, wait a minute. I want to see 2 girls go in there and Taylor Serrano is that. It is that, right? It's going to be carnage. But there's something about Serrano Baumgardner that just keeps on sort of coming back to my head. Like, I'm thinking Serrano Baumgardner, yeah? And that's almost more fair to Serrano. Serrano's a 126er. The 126er, Baumgardner's 130. That's fair. Remember, she's jumping up nearly 10 pounds to fight Taylor. That's true. She's jumping up a lot of weight. She gives up a lot of weight. With Baumgardner, she isn't. And these are 2 girls that we know can hit. Like, can hit. Like, in the division, in terms of hardest punchers, sort of females, in the whole of boxing, Savannah Marshall, Serrano, Baumgardner. There probably is others, but those are the 3 that sort of spring to mind at the top level as well. Like, we've seen them hurt girls at the top level. So as much as I want to say Taylor Serrano because of how good the first one was, it's quite rare that you get a Gatti Ward where all the fights are good. So I wouldn't mind seeing someone else go at Serrano. And if I have to pick someone, it's Baumgardner. So those are my 5 fights. Again, look, pick yours. I'm sure, I've missed out on a couple there. But in terms of that feeling, again, understand what I'm talking about. When the ref sort of calls them in and then they both go back to when they both go back to their corners and it's about to get going, all those fights are going to give you that feeling. And that's what I've been chasing, and I don't think we really got it in 2022. All right, give me your list anyway. Again, live tomorrow. It'll be the final video of the year that we do. And then we'll kick on and get busy on the channel in 2023. Peace and love.